Good morning, lovelies. Thank you for tuning in. It has been a little while since I've done a video, and there's good reason for that. There's been a lot of energy shifts, there's been a lot of interesting events, there's been a lot of interesting stories that have come forward to me that I find fascinating, but also really indicative of what we're all going through collectively. So sometimes you can see patterns and associations in what you're experiencing and what others are experiencing. The details are different, but if you look at the core, if you look at the patterning of it, you can see that there's themes going on. Now, in my experience, when you work with the themes rather than the details, you can find a more efficient understanding and therefore take action towards healing or towards you feeling better or more happiness or whatever it is you're calling in. And you can move away from how alluring and how sticky the details can be. So I have talked before about understanding how much your ego will attach to a situation in order to prove its own efficiency, right? The ego is something that wants to keep itself alive, to prove to you over and over again that you need it. And you do need it. But my problem with ego narratives is if it's the only voice you're listening to, if it's the only narrative that you're creating action around, then you will align with your ego. There's nothing wrong with this narrative. There's nothing weak or less or low about an ego narrative. It is there for you. It is there to keep you safe. It is there to organize your 3D world and give you a feedback system about that world that you can integrate. So think of it this way. If you are having an experience here on the earth plane and you feel in your body that there's more to this experience, you have a craving for more fulfillment, more passion, whatever it is, you have a craving and a feeling inside your body that tells you that there's more. I call this your hunger for higher states of consciousness, your hunger for balance, for wholeness. The path of healing gets you to more wholeness. It greatly honors the broader perspective of my pain, my suffering, my trauma, everything that's hard for me to understand, to integrate, to look at, to even voice, is only the seeds in which I need to move forward and through and up towards a higher state of being or a higher state of understanding, which equals more freedom, more abundance, more love, and more truth. Now, most people believe, or they are aligned with, their ego narrative being the part that they rely on to keep them away from failure or to keep them away from an idea around not being safe or not being loved or wanted or heard or seen or any of those fragments of that. When that ego narrative is the loudest voice in the room, we keep ourselves safe, we often get stuck, we stagnate, we calculate all the risks around us until the point where we don't take action because there's too many risks. Here enters worry, anxiety, doubt, panic, terror, flashbacks, the whole lot, right? The next step, if you're already understanding that narrative and how strong it has called you into inaction, the next step is integrating different parts of yourself so that ego narrative is balanced. We can never wipe it out. If you're wiping it out and going into massively high states of consciousness really quickly, you'll have to come back down and listen to that voice again. It's highly frustrating. We need it to be balanced with another part of you that represents the craving, that your body is signaling you towards. Knowing that the narratives that you hold within you, in your mind and in your body, are giving you a feedback mechanism. What I've been doing for people for a long time is clearing away the narratives, the voices, the feelings, the understandings that represent their past, their trauma, their hurt, their suffering, so they get a tiny glimpse at what their higher self sounds like, a tiny glimpse at their potential, a break from the noise that has caused them to not act in alignment with who they are. Most people get to the point where they don't know who they are because the noise and the density is so much felt in every moment. These are often highly intuitive, aware, awake individuals. Possibly naturally, they have always been like that. But now the layers of density are getting so strong that they don't even know how to reach the higher self voice, how to integrate the ego narrative, and how to understand where their alignment is. Too many options, too many narratives, too many questions, too much risk is what their body tells them. This feels like fight and flight all day long. Because fight and flight is also telling us that we're not completing a fear cycle. We're not integrating our experiences and going back to safety. We are avoiding, repressing, moving on, getting on with it. Whatever that version is for you, your body will get denser and denser and denser until it starts whispering at you. And the whisper will turn into yells, and the yells will turn into screams. The screams are, I'm locking down the whole system and you're not going anywhere until we figure this out and you free me from all of these things that you don't want to feel. Your body will do that for you, with you. Your higher self will also consent to that. If the trajectory of where you're going is too far out of alignment, your spirit team, your celestial team, your higher self, whatever language you want to use, will stop you and pull you back. That's when you know you'll always be okay. You are actually looked after. But how do we stop that system of needing to be pulled back, of needing to go into crisis all the time to learn? Because the risky part of that is, if you're relying on the crisis to teach you about where you've gone out of alignment, this is an unsustainable system. Because you know in your body that crisis is exhausting. It can be comforting to know that when crisis actually hits, that you spring into action, your fight and flight is right there for you. You take actions in alignment with where you really need to go. You access deep down that says, I'll always be okay, I'm strong, I've got good support. It's the part in between that clarity and the next crisis that is the important part. What are all the little choices and decisions that we're making that slowly pull us away from alignment? What voices do we allow in? What situations are we allowing to lower our vibration, pull us into a lower frequency, which means we come into survival mode, which is I just need to get through this. Survival mode is such a poor use of our resources. It actually takes so much of our resources to be okay in survival mode that we never get the chance to explore our capacity for more. And we yo-yo there for a little while. We come in and out of crises. They might get a little bit less intense. They might get a little less frequent. So we know that our patterning is becoming more sustainable. But what I like to link into is the belief or the idea or our capacity for not needing crises to teach us about who we are, where we're going, and what we're in alignment with. What that looks like and feels like and is in alignment with is your ego having a feedback mechanism that helps you to integrate your world. There is also a direct connection to Source or your higher self or God or your celestial team that you can use as an infinite resource to balance your experience of your memory of Source and the infinite amount of knowledge and capacity there, and grounded into this reality where we are that we're creating with an ego narrative that constantly tells you about that world so that you can stay partly in it. The idea is not to leave this reality to find another one. It's not going to work. There's no shortcut. We need to be anchored in, based in this 3D reality, organize ourselves around the understanding that everything needs to be running efficiently. The body, the mind, the daily flow, the way we interact, our relationships, our job, our career, our hobbies. Having all of that running in a way that feels good to you, that tops up your resources, fills up your energy tank rather than constantly draining it, will prepare you for the next level. It's not, oh, now all the sectors of my life are sorted, I can just chill. It's more that we find efficiency, sustainability, alignment in our world, in our physical reality, in our physical body, so that we can access higher states of consciousness. And all that feels like is going home. It feels like my body is changing and upgrading according to how much I'm willing to receive, how much I'm willing to let in, how much I'm willing to entertain the idea that I can have more and that I'm worth more and that there is more out there. Most people know there's more. They can feel it in their bodies. But we get wrapped up in wanting to be there without organizing what we're doing here. And when there is an inability to show up to self-care is whatever you need it to be. Self-care is what your body needs to top up resources. It's what you want to do. It's how you want to create your reality. It's how you want to spend your time. That self-care is often not shown up to because we either want to be up there too quick in higher states of consciousness, figuring out future timelines and looking into intuitive ideas and downloading beautiful art or whatever it is for you. But if we're not grounded in our 3D reality as well, this connection will be unsustainable. If you are tapping into infinite source code energy and you're getting somewhere and it's flooding in and your body is filling up with light codes, but then 100 parking fines come in that are overdue and now going to wipe out your bank account so you have no safety net, you're going to have to address that. It's going to be frustrating. You're going to think, damn this system and all of its governance that does not serve me. Feel that resentment and go back to the part of you that is responsible for all that being in order so that you can play in where you want to be. Play in your own creativity, in your own infinite abundance. But if that world is not in order, if your reality is not taken care of, if you are not existing here in a way that feels meaningful and in alignment to you and who you really are, then you'll keep on getting pulled back into lower vibrations. The same is that if we only work on ourselves and we take a path of evolution or ascension, whatever the word is you want to use, but we don't also upgrade and allow those changes to happen around us in our other relationships, again, it'll be unsustainable to stay there. We don't want to see a glimpse. We want to be more and more integrated and whole, more and more evolving on a whole, complete level than we do jumping around. Jumping around is exhausting for the nervous system. It's going to lead to all of these interesting illnesses and syndromes that are showing up now. Chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, gut issues, things that wipe you out, autoimmune. All of this stuff is saying, your body is saying, how we're running the programs is unsustainable for me. I can't keep on stashing that and sorting this out and taking you there and then bringing you back. I need a steady flow where we all integrate and grow together. The same model can be used collectively. You're not going anywhere faster than the collective. You can use your own capacity to drive you into an individual evolution that greatly serves humanity on a whole. But we will all ascend and evolve together because we're still hardwired. We're still intimately connected to our environment. We still can only receive so much of new frequency at one time. And you know that because life is so much better when you share. Life is so much better when you have deep connections with aligned individuals of which you can understand and manage this process together. The whole process needs to be honored as something that you have greatly invested in, something that you crave as well as fear, something that represents a deep shedding away from the conditioning of society that has got you and served you up until this point. If you know there's something more because you feel it in your body, then it's time to start making slow, sustainable movements and actions towards what more means for you. What that looks like practically at this point is prepare. Get everything in order. Start resolving, start closing things, start opening other things. Start getting away from activities and actions, behaviors and relationships that pull you into a lower frequency. Address the body. Get your body functioning at a higher rate so when abundance flows in, you can hold it. Sabotage often looks like, this feels so good, I'm terrified of it not being this again. Hold. Get used to small wins, small movements towards where you're going, and hold the energy. This will rework every area of your life. Anything that's unsustainable can now be looked at and reviewed and refined. If your eating patterns are unsustainable, let's have a look at them. If the way you build wealth and resources is unsustainable, let's have a look at it. If you're drowning in your ego narrative and everything needing to be rational, let's have a look at it. If your relationships are causing you to feel uninspired, to feel like you have to go backwards all the time, then what can you do to change it? Usually that means speaking up, boundaries, learning communication techniques, being vulnerable, being open, being honest, more time alone, less codependency, whatever it is for you, let's have a look at it. Your personal development and spirituality is the most efficient and easy sector from which to evolve through. And what does that mean? Do we need more time? Do we need more energy and space for it? Do you need more training? Do you need more influence, different language? What do you need to make it more sustainable? If you're interested in courses and trainings that open up your intuition, that have you on a path of sovereignty and greater awareness and higher states of consciousness, please get in contact. I am beginning a whole course structure around different areas on that path. My Synaptic Evolution event in August is available to everyone. You don't have to have prior experience, you don't have to be a healer, you don't have to know what you want. But if your body craves something, if your heart desires a little bit more, then I welcome you there. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you soon. Bye guys. So much love. I love you.